I'm coming. I had to get my water. Hey, welcome to a Backyard Professor live stream for chess. Let's do some chess opening ideas on traps and ways to avoid them or at least use them. Welcome, everybody. Get it over here on the comments so I can talk to you guys as we do it. Here is a very interesting King's Indian defense that I think is quite fun, quite interesting to play because Black here gets the nod. So let's check out how he does this. Black is going to Fianchetto. White is going to solidify his center. We've got the Fianchetto bishop, absolutely. White's going to develop the queen, the king bishop. Black is going to prepare the center. This is a good preparation for the center to attack, to keep this in check, I should say, rather than attack. White is going to pawn queen 3, and Black will castle. Absolutely. Get her castled, baby. And now the Fianchetto here is going to be very interesting from White. This is going to be an interesting battle. The knight's going to come up to support the knight here. White is going to get the castling done, which is a good thing. Absolutely. And now he does do he's going to fight for the d4 square, put a little tension in the center, make sure he's got a good presence in the center, which is always a good thing. White is going to immediately exchange, releasing the tension. Black will also redo the exchange, and now the error. So if you're in this particular situation, it does look like a free grab here. He's going to try to win the pawn because, and it's a complicated variation, but now the knight takes the pawn, and that is a question mark. That is not how you want to do it. Looks like, hey, Raghav Rohila. Oh, good. Nice. Very good. Welcome. So the knight taking the pawn is not a good idea, and the knight's going to come up to knight 5. So notice that he doesn't retake the knight. Now, that's interesting. We don't want to retake the knight at this point. If the queen takes the knight, interesting, luring the queen out with a false sense of security here. Now the knight will take the knight, exchanging with a tempo. The queen is developed, it's true, but she's had to move twice. So the exchange is good at this point. But now what happens if you go here, knight bishop 6 check? What a remarkable move. Very interesting. So now the queen takes the knight, and do you see the issue here? The bishop takes the bishop. That sneaky sniper Fianchettoed bishop. And Black wins the exchange. So it's kind of devious how White made it look like he was giving up his knights. And of course, it eliminated his center altogether, right? So you're thinking, what is Black doing? And yet he does come and win the exchange. So that's kind of a cool little trap. For me, I like it myself. I thought that was fun to play through. Hey, Bella Glavi, sup? How are you? Yeah, I'm doing an odd time for a chess live, but I'm gonna do it. So I've got the option to do so, and I am going to do so. Woohoo! That's a fun little trap. Now we're going to look at a different opening and some of the Some of the key themes, the ideas in this opening that you want to watch out for. Chess openings are always tricky. They tell you, see, when you're first learning this magnificent game, or if you're a beginner and relative novice at it, to not worry too much about the openings, but that has to come out. If you can win in the opening, winning an exchange in the opening like that is just pure advantageous as far as we know, right? So, hey, Malt Bite, how are you, my friend? Chloe Graybill, good to see you. Sassy died a year and a half ago. I've got a new puppy, though. Yeah, I've got a new puppy. I call him Little Buddy. He's a little white chihuahua. Maybe I'll bring him down and show you. I've shown him once. He's a good dog. Hey, Rick. Oh, yes, it is. Absolutely. So, and this next opening, we're going to look. I've got 3 really cool short games to show you, short ideas on the Budapest defense. Now, this will be real interesting. Yes. Oh, well, thank you. Well, here's some more to help you out some more. Absolutely. We love it. We love it, baby. Okay, so here we go. Budapest defense. Let's see what happens with the Budapest defense. Pawn, queen, bishop, 4. You're gonna strike at the center, not necessarily to attack it, just establish yourself in the center. But white is going to release, and this is interesting. White's going to release the center, and the knight's going to come up here to knight 5, rather than going back or going across, because the knight will continually be attacked. He's going to go forward, which is also going to make it so that he's continually being attacked. Now, interestingly here, pawn to bishop 4. So I get it. White is trying to maintain his center. Okay, now that's all and good. But it's better to put your pawn to king 4. And I know, see, you've got the doubled central pawns. But it really is still better. It really is still better to bop that, buddy. Because, true, they're doubled, but, man, they are holding a lot of center. So that's, technically speaking, being advanced like that. Of course, this guy's going to be the target. We know that, yes. But he's playing a little off-kilter here to support the pawn. He doesn't want it to perhaps be a target. I don't know. But he is a target anyway, and black is correct. Do attack the center without question. And now he goes the pawn king 4, and now you've got the knight queen bishop 3. The pawn will take the pawn here. Now this gives black a chance to develop with tempo, right? It gives him a chance to bring his bishop out, also hitting the f pawn. So this will be interesting to see what happens. And now pushing pawn king 5. What is the issue here? Okay. This is always so tricky. Oshers, how are you, my friend? Good to see you, bub. I'm just rinky-dinking around with some Chess Live stuff. Pawn king 5 is not good. So the bishop's going to come to knight 5 check. And the bishop will block the check to queen 2, right? Okay, so I know. Hold on, let me make this stop swaying in the breeze. It's windy down here. I'm full of hot air. I'm blowing the chessboard all around. Okay, so I get it. You want to exchange. I get it. But hold on. See, you've got the queen hitting this knight, even though it's protected by the bishop. So that's not going to happen in that manner. You got to always bump the rook pawn. Hold on. Hold on. Don't get excited yet. Come to knight king 6. It's a free square. Now that's interesting, isn't it? Because the bishop's pinned. So now we're getting tension. Now we're getting tension. The queen is going to come to knight 3. Now, that's a great fork. I mean, come on. Yeah, the bishop's protected, but that's a good way to at least attack the knight also, right? So that's not bad. However, now the knight comes to queen 5. Wow. Black is just coming at him. This reminds me of when I played you, Oshers. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, this is how Oshers plays against me. He just trounces me all the time. Good to see you, bud. It's good to see all of you. So now we're in for an interesting treat. He doesn't dare take the knight yet because he's going to go to queen, queen 3, and the note says, or queen to rook 4 check could have been good too, rather than going over. So he did go to queen 3, bishop, king, bishop 4, and you can see the queen's getting trapped. Now he's got to really think hard. Queen takes knight here. So we got a knight. And there's your beautiful fork. Fantastic. Rook, queen, king, knight fork. Watch those knights. They're animal, man. They are so tricky. That's fun stuff, isn't it? I mean, come on. That's fun stuff. I love that. I love these kind of games unless they're played against me, which they usually are. So I got to be careful with those, baby. Hey, Prodigious, good to see you. Oh, wow. Well, good. I'm happy. I'll be happy to do much more. Woohoo. Okay, so that's quite a trap. So let's do another Budapest here. I don't think this is a very popular opening. I'm not sure. I don't see a lot of it being used. Perhaps it was an older opening that was used by some, but it's fun to have these kind of ideas. Don't necessarily worry about the opening as such, but just keep in mind the ideas on how to coordinate the pieces, how to not just react to what your opponent does, but proceed to develop and bring forward power. So, yeah, bishop takes knight was accurate, Beloglavi. So now here's another one. Let's take a look at this. Pawn, queen 4, knight, king, bishop 3. I know it's the old nomenclature. Sorry. I should say c4. Yes. And then now immediately, of course, he's going to hit the d4 by going e5. So we're going to maintain a presence in the center. This is always a theme in absolutely every single opening, and white will take. Again, hitting the knight, and again, the knight will come to knight 5, right? So he can do that at this point. Bishop is going to come out, and the bishop is going to come out, check. So this time, rather than bopping the bishop back to block the check, because the bishop has been properly developed, right? If you can help it, don't do too many of the same piece moves in the opening, because you'll lag in development and you'll lose the initiative. That's the overall theme. So this time, white will block the check with the knight instead of the bishop. And here comes the knight to protect the bishop. Now, this will be interesting because he's bringing in more pieces. Okay, let's keep our eye on this. So is white. White is bringing in more pieces, and the queen is coming out now, and now he's going to put the question to the bishop. My washer is working upstairs. Is that interrupting me? Do you hear that washer? Hopefully not. Now, what happens here with the pawn push is the knight will take the pawn. Okay, now this gets interesting, because if the pawn now takes the bishop, he's sacrificing the bishop, or is he? Because now you've got knight, queen, 6. Checkmate. Notice the tactic here. That is so fun. The queen is pinning the pawn to the king. Such a simple pin, too. See, don't let the idea that, well, it's just a pawn, even though it's pinned, don't let that deceive you into thinking that the pin is not dangerous. Every pin is dangerous if you can attack it. In this instance, it wasn't a direct attack, but it made use of the fact that the pawn was pinned, and therefore he was safe to go in. That's kind of a really cool smothered checkmate, in my opinion. I thought that was fun to show. All right, let's do another Budapest. I think I have one more Budapest defense. Yeah, one more Budapest defense. This has some tricky. The Budapest appears to me to have some really cool tricks with the knight. And that makes it so much fun. So we shall see. You gotta love those knights. You either love the knights or hate the knights, right? Depends on whether they clobber you or whether you do the clobbering with them. They are tricky pieces all the way across. They really are tricky pieces. So here we go. Budapest. Opening, push the c4, push the e5, and they're going to take the pawn, which is a standard theme here. The knight is going to go to e4 this time. We've seen some where it goes off to g4. Now it's going to go to e4. So he continues to develop. Just ignore that knight for the moment. He continues to develop. He's going to clear the center. He at least wants to put his presence in the center, right? So I know there's some times when you think, well, I don't know if I want to actually have the tension. Yes, you do. For one reason, for one thing, don't let this pawn intimidate you from not pushing the pawn, because you're pushing the pawn to open up your bishop. And you want the bishop open without question. So push the pawn. Yeah, you can push it to support your knight. You get an en passant. That would open up the c file for you. That might be a viable option. This particular one didn't do that way. And he took the pawn anyway, en passant or not. This gives you an opportunity. Rather, slow down. Don't retake it with the pawn. What that does is it gives you an isolated pawn, right? There are instances, through the game, if you can maintain the isolated pawn and push it, it can become a really powerful passed pawn. We're real early in the game, though. That is truly unlikely. For the most part. Again, depending on the circumstances, an isolated pawn becomes a weakness. It's definitely a target. If you see your opponent getting an isolated pawn, it's target. It's much better to bring it with the bishop. Take it and bring your development out. That's a better way to respond than taking it with the pawn. And now, what on earth? This is not the right approach at all, because he needs to get another piece in. He should have put the knight out here. Worrying about being kettling the bishop is too slow. Again, it involves yet another pawn move. Black is on the move, and here's why. Because now he can take the bishop pawn. You know, what do? You're forking the queen and the rook. You're forcing the king so that he can't castle. He could castle longhand. That's true, but it's still not a good thing because of this. Bishop will take the pawn check. Once you get the king, and the way this does it is spectacular. But once you make it so the king can't castle, or at least bump him up into the field, it's worth slash dashing, sacrificing pieces like crazy to get to the king. open up the position. That's what we're seeing here. And yeah, it takes a little bit of encouragement. It takes a little bit of courage without question. But now, do you see an issue? Now, what's the issue here? There's a huge issue here. Notice Black used forcing moves. He put the knight down there, forking the queen and the rook, making the king have to take the knight. Then his bishop took the pawn, putting the king in check. Again, a forcing move, and the pawn has to retake. Now, the queen gets the queen because it opened up the fight. The king is away, and he's no longer protecting the queen. So it won't be a queen exchange. So it was worth getting the knight and bishop out, sacrificing them in essence in order to get the queen. Blocks up the exchange. So that's another really, notice how quick it happens too. The forcing moves, when you open up a position like that, when you attack relentlessly against a king and force a check and a check and another check, regardless of whether it's pawns or pieces, you can leave a piece undefended and nab the undefended piece. That's fun stuff. That's fun chess right there. So that's kind of cool to see. Oh, well, thank you, Prodigious. I'm honored. I know, I do too, Malt Bite. Okay, good. I'm glad you're good, Oshers. Excellent. Good to hear. I love hearing that. So let's take another look at another theme and an idea here. Yeah, I'm probably not like any other grandpa, Prodigious. I'm kind of, woohoo. But you got to have a little fun in life. I mean, life is way too short. Unfortunately, I'm speaking from experience now because I often thought while I was younger, oh, yeah, I got plenty of time. I put off too much stuff, and now I'm living to regret that. I don't live in the past. Move forward. Move forward. You're never going to accomplish everything anyway. Enjoy your life day by day. But, yeah, thank you. I'm honored. That makes my day, pal. I appreciate that. Truly. I will try to live up to your expectations. Remember, always be enthusiastic and laugh at yourself. Don't take yourself too seriously. For Pete's sake, there's nothing to take serious. We're enjoying ourselves, right? So, okay, now here's a queen pawn opening. Let's go to a queen pawn opening. In essence, it's somewhat similar to the Budapest. The Budapest also pushed the queen pawn, right? So here we go. And the knight, king, bishop 3. That's a good opening. And then, of course, the c4. And then, of course, the e6. So now the preparation for the center from Black here, rather than focusing on the d4 square that White possesses with a pawn. Yeah, we saw last time he pushed the d6 and then bumped up the e pawn to e5. This time he's going to push the e6 with the possible intent of pushing to the d5. And that will change. It's amazing because it's just one little different pawn move, but it changes the whole character of the opening. So let's keep watching. He's going to bring out his knight. Okay, so he's developing. Now he's going to fianchetto. Black wants to fianchetto here. And notice the strong pawn center. Now, and you say, well, he's moving a lot of pawns. It's all good because the idea here is Black is going to allow White to gain a strong center, and then from a distance, meaning he'll use his bishops. That's why he wants to fianchetto. From a distance, he will begin attacking the center. See, this pawn has potentially 2 attackers already on it. You see that? So let's take a look and see what happens with this pawn king 4. And of course, he's going to fianchetto. Once you push one of the knight pawns, you'll always want to, in this manner, in the opening, you'll want to fianchetto. I played through games where they start to fianchetto and then they change their mind. That never works out good. If you're going to fianchetto, if you're going to set it up to fianchetto, push the bishop out to the diagonal. right? And here's why. See, not only do I show you fun chess, I explain why somewhat. By pushing the pawn, see, if you don't fianchetto the bishop, let's say you did something like this, and then you've got the bishop over here. The problem now is you push the pawn, and it created weak squares. Weak white squares. The fianchettoed bishop makes up for that. Because what you're going to do, if you don't fianchetto the bishop, you've already given white his entire game plan. I'm slightly exaggerating, not much though, because the game plan, if he did not fianchetto that bishop, if he pulled him out into the center, the game plan would be to focus on the queen side and attack those weaknesses. And that can win you the game, truly, without ever having to checkmate the enemy king. So I know, long-winded discourse on the value of fianchettoing, but do it when you're right. Okay. Yeah, shut up and play the game, cowboy. Okay, so, and white is not going to stop developing either. We've got the bishop to queen 3, and now here we go. See, here's this d5 thrust. And so you can see the different character of the center here than the previous 3 Budapest defenses that we played through. And yet there's still power and tension in the center. That's always a must. The other advantage, again, the other advantage is it does open up your queen a little more. The king pawn has been pushed, so you've opened up your bishop. You want to open up those bishops. Develop your knights first in the opening before your bishops, but you want to give your bishops a chance to get out, right? Because they are a power piece on the long diagonals. So now white is going to go ahead and release the tension. He's going to say, okay, no, I'm going to take that. And black will respond in kind. He will take the d5. And rather than exchanging, white is going to do something interesting here. He's not going to ignore it. He's going to release the tension, but not through exchange, but through advancing. He advances with the tempo because he's bumping the knight, but he also gains more central space. And that gives you a chance to better coordinate your pieces, okay? If you have more space, you can put together either a better attack or a better defense. So black is starting to see what this does is it immobilizes the black center. Had he exchanged, see, yeah, you get rid of a pawn. It's a center pawn, but look at the bigger picture. The knight could have taken it, true. But what that does is if you eliminate his own pawn, that opens up the bishop. Don't do that. You are much, much better closing that down. What you've done is you've limited the fianchettoed bishop, which is victory in a minor scale. That's good. That's good chess. So white has done this correctly. And black, of course, will come to king 5. Good outpost. Not a permanent outpost, but it's okay. He's putting pressure on the center. I know there's a chance that he'll be exchanged. Become aware of that. Realistically, the knight's going to exchange. Probably not the bishop because I hate to say bishops are better than knights, but they are just slightly. You have to create the board position, though, but you're going to be exchanged. You get that. It's okay. You're covered. It's okay to exchange it, but this is much better than something like this. Well, of course, the queen's going to take it. I'm just using this as an illustration, but it's even better than this. Now, in some openings, you do want to pull the knight back to the d7. In this instance, not so much because it's the wrong opening. Or a different, I shouldn't say the wrong opening. That was the wrong word. But so it's okay to advance. That's all I'm saying. You don't want to go backwards. That's it's going to be a too passive of a move, and it will give your opponent a chance to get going here. So this is all good. Now, does white want to exchange. Now, there's times when you do. And in this instance, it might be a huge advantage in some respects. We're early in the game, and that's part of the clue. Early in the game, get developed is probably more critical. So White goes with that principle, and he says, let's do this. Here's the other thing about continuing to develop and not worry about getting rid of that Black Knight. One, technically speaking, at this point, the game's not far enough along for that knight to combine with either a bishop or a queen or another knight, right? Technically speaking, it's just a single piece for now, for the moment. We're not far enough into the opening. So you do want to keep your eye on it, but if he decides to exchange, that means he spent 3 moves, not just 2, but 3 moves on his knight. And that means White should have a much better development, which gives him an opportunity to put together some tactics and an attack. Notice neither one are castled yet. Now, White is ready to castle. Black needs to hurry if he's going to castle. Yeah? Okay, so this will be interesting. What does Black do after White pulls the knight up? Bishop, knight 5. Okay, you get the idea. And this is a good tactic. The knight is pinned now. What do you do with the pinned piece? You attack it. So, and it's crazy too. This is the thing about chess. He is developing a piece with a real good threat because now the White Knight is under attack from the Black Knight. But that wasn't quite the way to do it. Bishop King 2 is much better in this instance, and here's why. Queen Rook 4 check. Man, you gotta watch those tricky diagonals for queens. So White develops with tempo, and a beauty it is, yeah. So what do you do now? Well, all is not lost. See, okay, look, you kept the bishop. Yeah, baby, that's what I'm talking about. And you developed a piece. Realize, just keep in mind, that knight is now pinned. Looks like we got someone else. Hey, Code Dealer, good to see you. Oh, good. Oh, well, thank you. That's very kind. Me to you too, my friend. Thank you. So now we've got another issue. Yeah. No, and it's true. He moved the bishop twice. I get that. But the pressure now just got ratcheted up. Now Black has to play carefully. What he'll do is he'll take the knight, check. Okay. Step 1. Take the knight, check. The pawn will take, which gives support to the pawn. And notice again, and I'm just going to say this because it's so interesting, how the fianchettoed bishop just isn't in this game. White has played such that he has not opened up. He's blocking that pawn, man. And that pawn is stopping that bishop from participating. That's a cool thing to know. That's a cool thing to see. So the pawn will take the bishop, and the queen now, oh, no. The pawn took the bishop. And the queen will go to queen 2. And now look. Pushing the pawn? You mean that little pipsqueak has the guts to attack the monarch of the realm Absolutely. Watch how it deflects the queen. This is so interesting. You say, why are you going to sacrifice the pawn? Watch. This is so interesting. It didn't deflect the queen, but look what it did to the pawn structure. You thought it was going to deflect the queen, didn't you? Now, the knight can hop in, and that is a permanent outpost. So, let's go back for just a moment because this is a really cool point. There is tension in the center, right? There's pretty good tension in the center, and you are attacking the queen, right? The choice, when you see a pawn that is giving it, an e5 is always a good outpost for your knight. It is, because from here you can jump right into the castle king's territory. Whether he's castled or not, doesn't matter. Don't worry whether black's castled or not. Man, if you can get the e5 outpost, that's awesome. If you can get it permanent, meaning that a pawn can't come forward, then that's even better. He just moved the queen. He wants to support. If he takes the knight and the bishop takes, then the queen can take the bishop and still check the king. That is why he wants the queen there, right? So by taking the pawn, black avoids that issue of being down a piece. He guards the king so that he can still castle, but it makes it so that he can no longer attack the knight on the outpost. So white, while taking advantage of this situation, forcing black to put the queen here on the d7, now he can establish his outpost. See, just think a step or two ahead, right? We can all do that much. So this is a great strategy by white. I love how he does this. And rather than move the queen, he takes a pawn and he forks the queen and bishop. Interesting. See, this is not a passive move. This is an active move. He's saying, oh, well, I'm comfortable at this point then in exchanging the queens. Seems to be what he's saying, right? Queen will amazingly come back to bishop 2, moving backwards and keeping her eye on that knight, right? The queen here will come to queen 3. So they didn't do any type of a queen exchange, but now the queen takes the knight. And white wins 2 pieces. Isn't that interesting? Because now, no matter what he does, he's going to win. He's going to win an exchange. White just took the queen. If he takes the knight, he's still a piece up. And now the queen has to, of course, then that probably wouldn't. Yeah, no, he's got to come all the way back or else dodge back to here. So that's a fascinating situation. Lots to think about on that one. That probably took some deeper calculating on white's part than normal. Let's do one more queen pawn opening, okay? Let's do one more queen pawn opening. Oh, you said that's illegal. The knight was pinned. I didn't see that. I hope I didn't do something stupid, but I sometimes do. So I'll have to go back and check that, right? Keep me on my toes, man. That's the idea. Woohoo! Okay. All righty. Let's do one more. This one is going to be another queen pawn opening. And this one's kind of short and brief and to the point. Chloe Graybill. Oh, Bella Glavi, you might be right. Bishop takes knight, knight takes queen, and bishop takes queen. Yeah, that's probably what I should have. Let's just say that's what I meant to do, even though I didn't do it. Boy, what a cleft I am. All right. Okay, pawn, queen 4, knight to f6, c4, and e6. The knight is going to come gallantly out. Bishop, knight 5 check. Jumps right on it. Bishop's going to come to d2. And he's going to bring the knight out. Now, this is interesting. Is he tempting the queen pawn forward? Right? What in tarnation? I skipped one. Bishop, knight 5, bishop, queen 2. Oh, hold on. No, he did not do that. He went to queen, king 2. I apologize. He went to queen, king 2. Yeah, here we go. Boy, I skipped the line. Now black gets to castle. That's what was throwing me off. He said, and now the bishop's going to go to knight 2. Yeah, he is preparing to castle now. So now comes the knight. That's where I skipped. White's not going to worry about that at this point. He wants to castle. Let's get castled. Castle the king. Get him to safety. So if black gets a wild nose up his hair and comes to knight king 5 here, that's not the best way to play this. Because now you just simply bop your bishop up here. Watch what happens. Queen's going to come back to king 1. And queen is going to go to bishop 2. Pawn is going to come to bishop 4, hoping to defend the knight. Pawn is going to go to bishop 5. Look what he's doing. That's very interesting. He's not attacking the knight, is he? Bishop's going to bump back to rook 4. And now pawn to queen rook 3. What in tarnation is that all about? Yes. It's the Noah's Ark trap. And now there's nothing to stop him from pushing his knight pawn. He lost the bishop. It's irrelevant what he does over here. He's going to lose the bishop with the next one. Yeah, it doesn't matter what he does. He's not going to put his knight there because you just take the knight. Pushing the pawn isn't going to help him at all. He still gets the bishop. Pushing the pawn twice doesn't help him. He still gets the bishop. So that's a tricky situation when you get your bishops out there. There's a, I can't remember which chess opening it is. It's called the Noah's Ark trap that is similar to this one, where the bishop is lost. And then, yeah, he's got a strong center. But once you get down a piece, and remember the key theme, the idea here is if you ever get to where you're a piece ahead, and I mean, Daniel Naroditsky says this all the time, and so does Nelson Lopez says it all the time. He says, "Oh, I'm a piece up. Now I'm going to hurry up and trade down, trade everything, and go into an endgame because you're a piece up." So, and that would be the case here. Is you would definitely want to trade. The best you can hope for if you get stuck in a Noah's Ark trap type setting here, at least get a pawn for it. If you come back and let him take you that way, yes, you can open up the rook file. But this way you get a pawn. It's true, white would open up the file that way. but you're kind of sitting with smoked barbecue sauce all over you. You're getting ready to get ate alive, man. So anyway, okay. I've been 45 minutes. Yes, it is too. Thank you, Bella Glavi. Yeah, the Noah's Ark is in the Rue Lopez. Very good. Yep. Thank you. I'm gonna cut it just a little bit short. I hope I don't make anybody mad. I apologize, but here's a live stream for you where you can look at very many interesting games. I appreciate all your support and enthusiasm. It's good to see those of you who haven't been able to be on my Backyard Professor live before. Welcome to the live. Hit the like button. Go ahead and subscribe and hit the notification bell. It'll help the algorithm. Everybody on YouTube makes a big whoop-de-doo about this algorithm. You know, I've got to have 100,000 views or I'm not going to do very well and all that. Yeah. Well, at least hit the like button so I know you can enjoy it. That's how I'll say it. So, all right. In the meantime, remember, be good, do well, have fun, make lots of friends, stay happy, and laugh just a little bit because life is wonderful. I'm sticking to that. All right, you guys, I'm going to take off. I will catch up to you just as soon as I can. Appreciate all your efforts and support. Have a great day. That's an order. How's that? That's good for Bossy.